Today, we're going to talk about an objective way to make sure that your resume addresses the concerns of the employer. We're talking about the T-bar method. Today's topics, we're going to go over the importance of the T-bar method. We're going to go over some job postings. I'm going to actually show you a T-bar method and how we would go ahead and execute it. And then we are going to talk about content and how you create good content in your resume. And we are going to finish off with some tips. So why would we use the T-bar method? Well, it's been a method that has been used for the last 20 years and is proven very effective, especially in today's world where keywords are actually one of the most important parts of a resume. Greatly cuts down on the amount of time that it takes to customize a resume, and it naturally integrates the skills and keywords into the resume as you go along. It also improves the probability of callbacks, and it focuses on the job match, not just for the recruiter, but for the hiring manager as well. So it tries to speak to both. So let's talk about job postings. So most job postings have 3 sections in it: about the company, qualifications, tasks and responsibilities. Today, we're going to focus on just 2 of these: qualifications and tasks and responsibilities. So qualifications are what the recruiter and the HR manager are asked to look for in a candidate. They generally have 5 main sets of points in them. There may be more, but there are 5 main ones. So points about the industry and experience, points about education, about certificates, designations, or certifications. There's also usually a section about soft skills or maybe very specific skills and softwares or tools that you would use on the job. When I'm talking about soft skills, I'm talking about attributes, personality traits, or communication skills. They are inherently difficult to measure, unlike tasks such as stocking a shelf. You can always measure how fast it takes someone to stock a shelf. But with soft skills, it's a little bit harder. How detail-oriented is a person? Or how much of a team player are they? These things are inherently difficult to measure. So when I'm talking about soft skills, this is what I'm referring to. Next is tasks and responsibilities. And this is what the hiring manager has requested to get done. It usually contains, but it has more than, the essential duties of the job. So this is the general parts of a job posting that we want to be concerned about when we are writing a resume. And here is the T-bar method. So on the left, we have information from the job posting. On the right, we have the professional profile from your resume and your skills or experience, depending on if you're using a chronological, a functional, or a hybrid type resume. But this is where you display the skills and the experiences and your ability to do the job. Your professional profile is generally a mirror of the qualifications. Please note that not everything that's in the qualifications section is in the professional profile. You'll see that they're mostly the same. However, soft skills is not in the professional profile, and I'll come to that in a second. But it does go over things like notable skills and assets. Same thing with your skills and experience. It's a mirror for the tasks and responsibilities. Your points should illustrate that you've performed these tasks, give context to where you've actually done these particular skills, and integrate the soft skills that are in the qualifications. So here we have a job posting for, say, an accountant / bookkeeper, and they are looking for someone with 1 to 3 years experience. They're looking for someone with a post-secondary degree. They are looking for people with some kind of designation or certification. They're looking for people that are detail-oriented, so that's a soft skill. They're looking for someone who can use MS Office, probably Excel. I know they don't mention Excel there, but Excel would be one of the key skills, as well as various forms of accounting software. In terms of tasks and responsibilities, they're looking for someone who can use the general ledger, can do bank and credit card reconciliation, do payroll, accounts receivable, and track employee expenses. So how would that appear on the T-chart? Well, remember I said it was all about the application. So you want to write down how you meet this criteria. So over 3 years of experience in accounting. So as where the qualifications is 1 to 3 years experience. In the professional profile, you're saying that you have 3 years experience, or 5, or 10, or however many you have. Post-secondary education in business. Well, education here is in accounting and bookkeeping. CPA level 3. Next is certified office specialist. Again, they were looking for someone who could use MS Office Suite. They actually have a certification in MS Office, so that's in there. And then proficient in accounting software. Also, when you're creating this T-bar method, a good practice is to use about 5 job postings when you're doing it and just condense them down into this list. This way, you've got a good cross-section from different companies and different types of roles in the different companies. This will have the effect of gearing your resume to the industry rather than a particular job. And that way, you do not need to do as much customization. And you also have a mirroring for the skills and experience section of the tasks and responsibilities. And this will be dispersed throughout your resume, but you get a sense that you see what the hiring manager wants, and then you address in the various skills that you actually have that. You'll also see that we've integrated the soft skill of being detail-oriented. We used a different word. We wrote ensured accuracy as opposed to being detail-oriented, but they are similar in nature and communicate the same thing, although we did not use the specific word. So here is a resume from one of our favorite job seekers. Her name is Shirley Uchest, but we'll just call her Shirley. And she is an accountant and bookkeeper, and she has been working for over 3 years and so forth. And she's gone through this T-bar method. So how does the T-bar method look on her resume? For simplicity, we only use one of the jobs that she's had in the past to illustrate this experience. We understand that there would be multiple jobs and they'd be spread out over multiple. Some of these skills and experiences would be spread out over multiple jobs. So over 3 years of experience in accounting, and she's led off with over 3 years experience in full cycle accounting in a customer-focused professional environment. So she goes in a little bit more detail in terms of the type environment that she's working in. Next up, she talks a little bit about her education, just a one-liner just to let you know that she has it. You can get much more detail later on down below. And then she mentions that she has a certification. One thing I would say that she could improve on is she could put CPA next to her name at the top, but she's mentioned that she has a CPA level 3, and then she talks a little bit about GAAP, Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, which is a knowledge area. She then goes into detail on what the Microsoft Office Specialist certificates were. So they were for Excel and Word, and then mentioned that she has advanced knowledge of Outlook and PowerPoint. She then talks about the accounting software that she has, and she mentions what she does have, QuickBooks and Sage. There might be a new application or new program that this particular employer has, but these are the two that she has experience with. And then down below, she goes over some of the stuff that's mentioned in the skills and experience. So she's worked with general ledgers and doing credit card and banking reconciliation. She talks a little bit about payroll, accounts payable and receivables. So now we're going to talk about content. And we're going to start off by talking about action verbs. Then we'll talk a little bit about drafting, and then finally integrating soft skills. So there's 2 main types of verbs. There's outcome verbs and action verbs. Outcome verbs is the effect of your work. It's not necessarily what you did, but what was accomplished. So these are things that were increased, decreased, improved, augmented, amplified, enhanced, so forth. And then action verbs. These are things that you actually did. This is skills. So did you analyze something? Assemble something, build something, calculate something, coordinate, document something, managed something or people or projects, planned, prioritized, etc. So you always want to start off your sentences with a verb, either an outcome verb or an action. Now let's talk about drafting your points. So, outcome statement model. So from those two sets of verbs, you get two different kinds of points. You have outcome statement models and achievement statement models. And here's the difference. Outcome statements focus on the outcome, what you accomplished, and then followed by the action that you took to achieve that outcome. So here's an example. Augmented sales abilities, the outcome, by attending sales demos and using new product knowledge to educate customers. Obviously, this is a salesman type point. They're talking about product knowledge. They're talking about ability to sell product and that it was enhanced. And they talked about that they could apply the knowledge they learned in demos specifically to sell better to customers. Achievement statement models, in contrast, talk about the action that you took, the skills, and then add context. An example of that would be this. Managed, the action verb, and then they go into their skills, orders and service, and then they add context. Dinner rushes during sporting event home games. So the sentence would read like this. Managed dinner rush orders and services during sports home games. You can almost envision a restaurant that's bustling and busy after, say, a Blue Jays game or a Toronto Leafs game, or if in Ottawa would be Sens game, and so forth. Now let's talk a little bit about soft skills. And I'll start off by saying that most job seekers do not know how to utilize soft skills correctly in their resume. They often just list the soft skills in the resume similar to what they see in the job posting. Here's the problem. Recruiters and hiring managers don't see this within context and generally just skip over those points as being irrelevant. However, if you pair soft skills with hard skills, it actually gives greater depth to the hard skills, and you actually see the soft skills in action. Another point to make on this is applicant tracking systems in themselves do not search for soft skills. They are more interested in keywords that are mostly hard skills. So things like an electrician, you'd search for the word electrician. And finally, some soft skills just don't need to be stated because they're implied. I'll go over a few of those in a minute. So here's a classic soft skills list: team player, organized, detail-oriented, bilingual. So instead of saying team player, take the opportunity to describe the team in which you were working in. An example from a professional profile might be over 5 years experience as a PSW in a multidisciplinary team environment. You immediately understand by that they're a team player, but they're working with other disciplines and other types of professionals with their own knowledge areas. Next, instead of saying that you are organized, give some context to where you've used organizational skills. So here's an example. Organized case files in alphabetical order by last name for easy access. What's great about this point is that you're starting off the term organized as an action verb, and you can actually visualize someone organizing something. It's still a soft skill, but it's being used in the context of an action verb. Instead of saying detail-oriented, show this skill in action. So where would you be detail-oriented? This is kind of similar to number 2, but instead of using it as an action verb, you use it elsewhere in the point. So reviewed every detail of documents while editing/proofreading for errors. Finally, we come to bilingual. You want to show your ability. When you say you're bilingual, you want to illustrate what you can do with it. Because someone may be proficient in it, it's another thing to say that a person can actually do a job in it. So if you can make the case that you can do a job in it, or say you can only do written work in it, or maybe talk in it, maybe you can have a conversation in it. These are things that you want to illustrate in the resume as opposed to saying just the word bilingual. Finally, I said there were some skills that are implied that you just do not want to list. And here is my top 3. There are a few others, but these are the ones that I point out the most. Written communication skills. Another is the word humble. Some people perceive this as a contradiction on a resume where you are talking about your skills and what you can do for the company, but then you jump back and say that you're humble. And finally, sound judgment. A person should never write this on the resume because a person should never be assessing themselves if they have sound judgment, and that's something for the recruiter or the hiring manager to determine. And finally, some of my top resume tips. In order to find keywords faster on job postings, one of the things that you could use is a word cloud generator. For more ideas of industry-related skills, you can use MS Office's Resume Assistant. This is if you have MS Office 365. And since it's connected to LinkedIn, this pulls out key skills that people have put on their LinkedIn accounts for the various industries and jobs that they have. Use hyperlinks instead of writing out the URLs. This gives a much more cleaner and professional look. And especially in today's hybrid environment, it really goes a long way to show that you're also computer savvy. List job titles before the company. You want to have the same format consistent throughout your entire resume. So same date format, same font, same size, same style, etc. And finally, use metrics and numbers wherever possible. This adds a little bit more of a punch to your resume. Well, I'd like to thank you for watching today's presentation on the resume T-bar method. Again, my name is Jesse. I'm an employment specialist at Epilepsy Toronto. If you are interested in seeing me actually go over a resume and do an actual T-bar method, you can check out our video on that called the Resume T-bar method. Link is here and in the description below. Thank you very much and have a great day.